Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going over the 2026 Senate race in the state of Alabama. Due to the news that we know that just recently, incumbent Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville has officially announced he will not be running for re-election. Rather, he'll be choosing to run for governor of Alabama in 2026. So this will leave an open race for the Republicans to run. So the question is, who could the Republicans put up to replace Tommy Tuberville in the U.S. Senate? Well, we do actually have some news that 3 Republicans are now in this race. Jeremy Spratling, a businessman, announced on May 30th that he'll be jumping into this U.S. Senate race, as well as Steve Marshall, the current Attorney General of Alabama since 2017, is now officially running in this race as well. He put out a statement on May 29th announcing that he'll be joining this race. One other candidate, Jared Hudson, is currently in the race as well, a tactical training business owner and nominee for Jefferson County Sheriff in 2022, joined the race towards the end of May as well. But it doesn't stop there. There are also a handful of Republicans who have expressed interest in potentially running. Former U.S. Representative Mo Brooks from Alabama's 5th District from 2011 to 2023 and a candidate for U.S. Senate in 2022 said just recently in an article that he is interested in potentially running for this race as well. Kent Davis, the former commissioner of the Alabama Department of Veteran Affairs, has expressed interest in running. John Merrill, the former Alabama Secretary of State from 2015 to 2023, is another potential candidate. Barry Moore, the U.S. representative from Alabama's 1st Congressional District, is mentioned as potential candidate, and Morgan Murphy, the former National Security Advisor to the Senator Tommy Tuberville. As for potential candidates are people that could potentially run, but have not given any indication that they will or that they won't, and there's a large list of people here. Joe Agresti, a car dealer, Tommy Battle, mayor of Huntsville, Bradley Byron, former U.S. representative from the 1st District, Jerry Carl, former U.S. rep from Alabama's 1st Congressional District as well, from 2021 to 2025. Caroline Dobson, a real estate attorney and nominee for Alabama's 2nd District in 2024. Nathaniel Ledbetter, Speaker of the Alabama House of Representatives. Bruce Pearl, Auburn's men's basketball coach. And Sandy Timpson, mayor of Mobile. Jessica Taylor, attorney candidate for Senate in 2022. Bruce Pearl, the Auburn Tigers men's basketball coach, sets up probably the most interesting situation, as obviously Tommy Tuberville, before becoming U.S. Senator, was the former head coach, I believe, of the Auburn Tigers men's football team. So going from having the former football coach be a U.S. Senator to having the Auburn Tigers basketball team be the next U.S. Senator would kind of be interesting. That Auburn has been electing senators a lot in Alabama, so that'd be a very interesting story. Will it actually happen? Will he run? I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see, but that would be a very funny, interesting story to go off on that. As for the early endorsement of the candidates, there hasn't been many so far. Bruce Pearl, who's not yet declared, does have the endorsement of Tim Burchett, a U.S. representative from Tennessee's 2nd Congressional District. Tommy Tuberville, who withdrawn, did have the endorsement of AIPAC, which I believe is an American Israel Public Affairs Committee, a pro-Israel lobbying group, through their support behind Tuberville before he withdrew from the race. Tuberville does have, last time as of March 31st, $628,000 cash on hand. Only can assume that's going to be used for the governor's race now that he's in that race. On the Democratic side of things, Alabama is a very Republican state, so the Democrats don't really have too much of a chance at winning this race. But they do have 3 Democrats currently declared: Dakare Lariat, a pet care business owner; Kyle Sweetser, a construction company owner; and Mark Wheeler II, a chemist. The only Democrat that can potentially maybe make things a little bit interesting in Alabama is Doug Jones, the former U.S. Senator. You may remember he won a special election against the Republican Roy Moore. Roy Moore had a very big scandal plaguing him in the campaign, and Doug Jones was able to squeak out a very narrow but very impressive victory for the Democrat in the very Republican state of Alabama. Gave the Democrats 1 extra Democratic senator from 2018 to 2021 when Tommy Tuberville defeated Doug Jones in the general election in the 2020 elections. Greg Howard, a podcaster, was running in this race. He withdrew. He's now running for the U.S. House. Right now, Mark Wheeler, the only Democrat with financial reports, says he has about $4,000 or so cash on hand. Unknown party preference, the former head coach of the University of Alabama, Nick Saban, is mentioned as a potential candidate. Again, I don't think there's really much stock in him running for this race. If he did, it'd be interesting to see if he gets the endorsement of President Trump. I do believe him and President Trump have a relatively close relationship, so we'll see how that goes. As for the rankings for the Senate race, really not too much of a surprise here. Inside Elections, Cook Political Report, Sadler Crystal Ball, and Race to the White House all have this race listed as a safe Republican seat. And when you look at the election history of Alabama, it really is not too much of a surprise. Looking at the Senate history, in 2022, Katie Britt, the other Republican senator from Alabama, defeated her Democratic opponent by 35.7%, by far a safe Republican state. 2022, where Tuberville ran against the Democrat incumbent Doug Jones, Tuberville defeated Jones by 20.4%, in a Senate race in Alabama that's honestly more close than most Senate races in Alabama usually are. That was still a massive win for Tuberville. At 20.4%, Tuberville getting a little bit shy of 1.4 million votes, Doug Jones getting a little bit over 900,000 votes. So again, roughly about a 400,000 to 500,000 vote win for Tuberville over Jones in Alabama. Again, this is probably the best chance the Democrats had at potentially having a Democratic senator in Alabama for a while, but still, it's too much of a Republican state for Democrats to hold on there. The last election before that was the Republican Senator Shelby in 2016, who won by 28.1%. 2014, before that, Jeff Sessions, who was the Republican senator that went to serve in the Trump administration that led to the whole Roy Moore, Doug Jones situation. He didn't even have an opponent in 2014. Alabama was such a Republican state. He got 97.3% of the vote. As for how Alabama has trended in the last few years, really not going to be too much of a surprise here. We'll go from 2022 to, say, 2016. Alabama, with Katie Britt, shifted 7.6% more to the Republican direction since 2012 to 2016. From 2020 to 2014, Alabama obviously shifted a lot to the Democratic side, but these numbers obviously are very skewed, seeing as Jeff Sessions did not have an opponent in 2014, so there's really not too much to take away from that. If you want to go back even further, though, we can look at 2008, where Jones did do about 6.5% better than the Democratic candidate did in 2008. But again, we see in recent years, Alabama's been trending more to the Republican side in the other Senate race, and at the presidential level, Alabama is very much a safe Republican state, voting for Donald Trump by 30.5% in 2024. In 2020, Alabama voted for Donald Trump by 25.5%. In 2016, Trump won it by 27.7%. On the governor level, things are relatively similar as well. The Republican governor, Kay Ivey, won by about 38 points in 2022. In 2018, Ivey won by 19 points. So actually one of the more competitive elections we've seen in recent years out of the state of Alabama was the 2018 governor's race. And then 2014, where the Republican governor, Bentley, won by 27.3%. As for the Senate race for 2026, really not much of a surprise at all. Even with Tommy Tuberville not running in the Senate race, Alabama I still have going as safe Republican. Whether it's Tuberville or any other Republican in this race, unless the Republican candidate is Roy Moore, Alabama is going to be a safe Republican state at the presidential, Senate, and gubernatorial level for a pretty long time, unless something changes completely out of nowhere. But for 2026, Republicans should have no trouble holding on to Alabama, even though Tommy Tuberville is running for governor. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did. Leave a comment below, tell me your thoughts about this video and any other video ideas or scenarios you would like to see me go over. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you in a future video.